As many of you know, there has been terrible flooding in China. Many cities in Henan are completely inundated.
Weather forecasters say it is the heaviest downpour in 1,000 years.
Subways and car tunnels are flooded and the streets are running rivers. There has been terrible loss of life and devastation, and also some pretty daring and heroic rescues. Floods like this are caused by record rainfall that exceeds the runoff and drainage capacity of the region's infrastructure.
The city has experienced the equivalent of a year's average rainfall in just 3 days.
At the same time, we're also seeing catastrophic flooding in Belgium, where cars are being washed away and the cities are also turned to rivers, and flooding in Germany and Austria, all happening at the same time.
After the storm in West Germany, the number of victims continues to grow. According to the latest information from the authorities, at least 106 people were lost.
This is the second flood in this part of Europe in just a week, as in 7 days earlier, Belgium and Germany were also being completely flooded by a different storm. A few days before that, it was flooding in both Kerch and Moscow at the same time.
During the night, 72 millimeters of precipitation fell in Kerch, while the June norm here is 48 millimeters.
This is from different storms. Those cities are more than 1,500 kilometers apart from each other. A week before that, excessive rainfall caused flooding in New York City, and Mexico City was hit with a terrible flood on July 5th. Sochi, Russia flooded on July 4th, and then it also flooded again yesterday on July 25th. I have to keep changing the script for this video because on average there's about 3 major floods a day this month throughout the world. In places like Nepal, Oman, India, and Romania, just to name a few. So there's a few theories for why this could be happening. Here's a picture of me in Romania. 10 years later, it looks like this. Here's a picture of me in Oman. 10 years later, it looks like this. And the same goes for Germany, Belgium, Austria, China, Luxembourg, Uganda. 10 years after I visit, they all flooded dramatically. If these events are connected, then Taiwan needs to be very careful because my 10-year anniversary is coming up, and so Taiwan might be next. Now, some might be quick to point out that this is just superstition, as this month it also flooded in Nigeria, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Japan, Korea, and the United States, all countries which I have never visited, and it even flooded in places that I've never even heard of, like New Zealand. I would have noticed if that place was on a map. So the other theory is that these storms are just becoming more frequent, in which case Taiwan had also better watch out. Apparently, cannibalizing Earth in pursuit of infinite growth with extreme inequality and heating the planet to produce disposable versions of nearly every object you interact with on a daily basis has consequences. And one of those consequences is more droughts and also more floods. Yes, you can have both. Now, flood risk is determined by the probability of a given rainfall in a certain area and that area's drainage capacity. These are usually referred to as 100-year, 500-year, or 1,000-year floods, and it doesn't mean that this flood happens once every 500 years. What it means is that in any given year, there is a 1 in 500 probability of that much rainfall occurring. So it's normal for them not to occur in these intervals. However, it would be highly irregular if they occurred every year. However, that's exactly what's happening around the world. Houston, for example, had 3 500-year storms in a row in 3 consecutive years. That is a 125 million to 1 probability, and it happened in Houston. They aren't even abnormally unlucky. 100-year storms now are so common around the world that insurance companies and city planners are considering abandoning this terminology altogether, as it no longer is a useful term for predicting liability and flood risk. Concurrent flooding all around the world aren't isolated incidents that are just coincidence. Floods are becoming more frequent. And human development on floodplains isn't helping. So now's the part where I think everyone expects me to say just buy a glass straw or some other environmentally friendly product and it's gonna be A-okay. Well, it's not. Climate problems require large-scale systemic change, and they are going to continue happening whether we give up our for-profit model of unlimited resource extraction or not. But they're gonna be a lot worse if we don't. So good luck, stay safe, and if you're bored and thinking of damming up the river in your spare time, developing a luxury riverbank high-rise, or drilling for oil, maybe just don't.